Bienvenidos. Welcome to the TGC podcast. My name is Naveen Raman, a life skills facilitator, and each week we bring you an inspiring person and message to help you discover the need for graduate capabilities to be a rock star in the workplace. To drop these value bombs, we have brought Miss Asha Nair into our virtual studio. Asha is the managing director of Xaxis Malaysia, a leading digital media firm and the world's largest audience buying company. She graduated from Staffordshire University with a BSc in e-commerce, and she is also a master NLP trainer. She is a competent leader in the media and advertising industry, and she's highly sought after by the big players. We will be talking about various skills and capabilities that helped her to be a peak performer and a top dog in her field. Today's theme is TGC4, lifelong learning, and Asha will also be sharing on how her self-disposition and skills with the aim of improving her professional competence had finally paid off. So stay tuned and get inspired. I'm excited and thrilled to have Miss Asha Nair, Managing Director, Xaxis Malaysia, Group M, who is also a good and a brilliant friend of mine I've had many insightful discussions with to our TGC podcast series this week. Welcome to our podcast, and how are you doing today, Asha?
Hi, Navin. I'm doing great. I do want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share, and I'm feeling really good and excited about having this conversation with you today. So yeah, let's kick start.
Thank you so much for giving your valuable time. I can't express my gratitude to you, but let's dive in and let me ask you my favorite question. So, what are some skills that you think have really helped you to be a peak performer in your marketing industry?
Primarily, there's three things I think that kind of works well for me, and I felt it was very important for me growing up and doing the job that I do. The first one is perseverance. So by definition, perseverance simply means persistent in doing something despite how difficult or success might be actually delayed. Now I say perseverance is important because the challenges that I face on a daily basis could vary, right? So sometimes it's something very solvable, easily solvable, like technical matters. On other occasions, it's something that it will take me a little bit more time. For example, things like client relationships, people matter, and these are instances where I kind of need to be very consistent in my actions, and it's going to take time for me to solve. Right. So being someone who has perseverance, that really helps depending on the situation that I face. The second thing I would say that was very important, still is very important to me, is resilience. And by definition, resilience simply means the capability to actually recover from a difficult or tough situation. When I think about work-life method, to me, it's a risk, it's a bit of a journey that comes with a lot of risk, and sometimes it's very unpredictable, right? So you will face the good, the bad, the ugly. The good is great. However, we can't negate the bad and the ugly. So for me, I consciously make an effort to kind of look into situations that were not so great. And I ask myself, what did I learn from this experience? And how can I enhance myself sort of moving forward in life from it, right? So it's a learning experience with a lot of resilience put into it. The last thing I would say that is a very critical skill for me is actually having a learner mindset. I love constant change, and I have actually been very lucky and privileged to work in a job where technology and innovation is happening constantly, and I find that fun because I get to wake up in the morning and learn something new on a daily basis. So to me, in a nutshell, these are the three skills I feel helped me be a peak performer in what I do today.
Brilliant insights. And just want to let you know that some of the things that you mentioned, like resilience and perseverance, are things that we actually teach in life skills for our first year students. So it's really refreshing to hear from someone at your level. So, those who are hearing, so you know that this is relevant. Now, in reflection, right, if you look back at your university life, what would you say some of the most important skill sets or capabilities that you have developed, which is helping you in your career now?
I feel book smart doesn't mean anything. And, I grew up in an era where I felt that, reading a lot mattered and we had to do a lot of memorizing, right? The more important thing here actually to think about is how do you choose to apply the knowledge in real life And the saying, action speaks louder than words. I think to me that's a very big deal. I do think our primary school and secondary school education system is a little bit flawed. And you're memorizing a lot of information back in the day was sort of a definition point on how well you do in exams, and you just kind of need to regurgitate the information that you remember. I personally dislike memorizing, and I was really bad at it, so I wasn't a straight A student. That being said, just persevering through the application of the knowledge that I managed to get through university helped me a lot, right? So how do I actually apply the information that I've absorbed into the workplace? To me, that was a very big lesson, right? And I feel good about it. Don't get me wrong, I do love books. I do enjoy reading, and I do it on a daily basis. However, like I said, the more important thing is how do I choose to process the information, and how do I use it to sort of enhance myself versus just memorizing and understanding what's happening.
Amazing. So I wish I heard this from one of my mentors when I was in university. I was watching a video that day by Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he was saying that one of the things that's missing is actually students not thinking on their feet and showing how they can use all this information they've learned over 3 or 4 years into a practical problem in real life.
Absolutely.
Now, Asha, one thing I know from our private conversations about the work you do is that you deal with change on a constant basis. How can how young students who are still in university can prepare and can be relevant in a workplace that is like rapidly changing?
I think to better prepare, what I would strongly suggest is that, they take the time to do the homework about the job or the company that you wish to be part of. The more you understand about the nature of a job or a company, the better equipped you're going to be about the role, and you'll be able to sort of align your expectations towards it. Now, this seems like a fairly simple task. And if you go through or read any article about interview preparations, typically that's kind of what they say to you. But I've been fairly amazed that I've gone through a number of interview with candidates where they kind of show up and not know anything, right? Some of them don't even read the job description that was given to them, and they just kind of show up for the interview. Now, that kind of puts the candidate in a position of, you don't quite know what you're getting yourself into, and it doesn't kind of give a good impression to the employer as well. So yes, please take the time, do the homework about the company, read about the job you're getting into, understand it a little better. The second thing I would say to prepare is take the time to also reflect and learn from a company that gives you a job description, and ask yourself this question, which is, what would I take away from this job that will help me with my future dreams, right? So spend a little bit time reflecting about it, like what made you even apply for the job and what you like about the job, because the more clarity you have for yourself, the better the experience the interview is going to be for you. The last point I would say is, just be patient, manage your expectation, because a lot of times I've also observed that, the reality of the candidate and what they kind of want in a job, but the actual job in itself could vary quite drastically. So be prepared. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, might not be exactly what you read in a job description. But the best way to kind of counter that is by asking a lot of questions. So preparation is key. Do your homework, come in with questions. I feel those are some of the things that a candidate can do when you're getting prepared to join a workplace today.
Brilliant insights. And people say these are common sense, right? And yet it's not really
not so
a common
no more.
practice.
Exactly. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we tell our graduates that personal branding starts right in the beginning, right from interview itself. And so you have to do your work. And why wait till you're going to graduate to do that? Why don't you build this capability as you go on? Now, if you were to hire some interns or an associate to work for you, what would you look in them in terms of skills and capabilities?
Okay. I actually do hire a lot of interns and fresh graduates off the market. Now, specifically when it comes to this bunch of individuals, right? I primarily look out for attitude more than anything else. Okay. So given the person is fresh, my expectation wouldn't be so much on any technical skills, because that's something that we're going to groom the person on. But rather, I would look out for behavior traits on how this person actually learns and adapts. Right. So, for example, I might give the person a difficult scenario and see how this person actually processes the information and the situation, and how this person actually decides on the different action that he or she wants to take, right? There's no right and wrong answer to it. It's more an assessment about their sort of thinking capabilities, right? I also look out for people's aspirations in life, and that's a favorite question of mine, right? And does he or she have a clear goal and vision about their career? And why this is important is because I do want to ensure that the individual and the company also share the same values, as it would be easier on the individual to adapt to the company's vision. I have a simple philosophy when I do recruit people, and that is that I look at recruiting someone into a family. So, this person is joining a larger family, which is the company. So it's important for me to ensure that the right kind of person is brought into the family home, and this person is able to adapt and get along with, the rest of the family members.
Beautiful. I thought about social competency, which is one of the things that we emphasize in tailors. Now, very early on, you mentioned about having the learner's mindset. So today's theme is TGC4, which is lifelong learning, one of the capabilities we want to build in our student. Now, could you tell us a little bit in depth how this capability has been critical in your life and in your success?
For me personally, it's a very critical mentality to have. As I work in the digital media field, where change is actually a given and it's a constant, right? There's always new technology coming up every now and then. I have to learn and relearn how it works so that I'm able to advise my clients about how best to use it for their business. So it's a given in my field that you have to be prepared to be, a student at all times. And I really love that. Talking about an example in the field, right? And what's happening right now. So currently in the industry, there's a lot of conversations about cookieless environment on the internet. Currently, many companies are collecting what they call cookie data of the devices that everybody holds, and in this cookie data, there's a lot of information and browsing behavior on the internet. Now, this information that's being collected is non-personal identifiable information. So they don't know where you live, they don't know your name, but it's enough information to allow companies to identify the interest that you have as a consumer and show you different sort of ads, right? So this is a massive change in the industry. And this change will probably go on for the next 2 years. That being said, all the companies right now are, not sitting back and seeing what happens, but progress is already taking place. There's a lot of experiments going on about how information can be collected in the future, how advertising is going to be a lot more personalized to you. There's no one method right now, but it's a very interesting change in learning experience that I myself am going through until we find an answer on how best to kind of do it. So this is a real life experience, a learning experience that is happening in the industry today.
Amazing stuff. I can definitely see that you are a lifelong learner, and that's one of the reasons why you've gone all the way up. And thanks for giving us some inside scoop on what's happening in the market as well. Now, what is one final advice or parting advice that you would give to our tailorians?
You've heard the saying, patience is a virtue. So please remember that when you come into the workforce, you're going to be facing bumps along the way. And some of this you may perceive as failures. Okay. But what I do want to remind you all is that think of it as a learning experience for yourself and don't give up so easily.
Thank you so much for your time and valuable insights. I've learned so many things. I'm going to write this down so, I can think about this in my future. And, I hope to see you. And maybe you can even let us know if you're hiring any interns. We'll be happy to hook you up with some really bright minds from tailors.
Definitely. Thank you so much for offering that, because I will definitely consider it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asha. And we hope to see you soon. Hey, Tailorians. Hope you enjoyed this week's TGC podcast. We heard from Asha about various capabilities and skills that we need to succeed, including TGC4 lifelong learning, which is absolutely critical to be relevant and make a dent in the changing work landscape. Remember, as a lifelong learner, we have to develop the hunger and desire for continuous refinement of our skills and competence through self-directed learning, self-inquiry, self-assessment, and reflection on an ongoing basis. because the only thing that's constant in life is change. So keep applying TGC4 and become a rockstar graduate, and I'll see you on the flip side.